Hi, team. So, welcome back to another episode, and we have a special guest on today. The special guest, as you'll hear, has had some very interesting challenges in their life, and I brought him on because I particularly love his story and his resilience and just the way he approaches life. Even though I don't know if we got everything out that I could have, because there's a few bits that I know that probably make him like, he's just like, wow, like, how is he still attacking the day like he does? How's he got the perspective like he does? And I'm really hoping that it brings something home for you. I also learned a good lesson in this one. It was very like got to Scott's wisdom about 3/4 of the way through. So I'm really hoping that what resonated for me will resonate for you too as you listen to this. So listen to the episode, enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Right? Cheers. So, welcome back to the Identity Human podcast with your host, Don. And if you're watching the video, we have a special guest. And if you're not watching the video, we have a special guest. So, Scott Whitney, welcome to the podcast. I'm very grateful to have you on here.
Yeah, no, it'd been awesome to come on.
Would you mind just giving the viewers a from Scott's point of view introduction? And then I'll give my point of view because I know it'll be very different.
Yeah, so I'll do a quick intro. So 2020 came into 2020 and I was living life as what I thought was a fit, healthy human being. One day went to sleep and then woke up, and from there I was disabled. There was no accident, no injury or anything like that. It kind of led into 4 months where I gradually lost control of different parts of my body. Some have come back, some haven't. And I had sepsis, I had difficulties with my heart, seizures, lost the ability to swallow for certain periods. But now I'm a full-time wheelchair user. I have regular seizures, body spasms, and then I can lose some cognitive function as well. So some days I'll struggle to speak or get the right words out. I started an organisation called All for Inclusion in 2022, and it's all aimed at helping to reduce loneliness within the disability community. Put on a lot of different support groups, ranging from photography, art, online discos, online karaoke, online bingo, just lots of different things to really bring that sense of community to people.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks for the introduction. I'm wondering if people listening were as like taken by that as I was, because I remember when we first chatted, it literally was from you got sick and then all of a sudden life changed. It wasn't like there was an accident, so you almost were holding on to a little bit of hope that they would make your sickness better, and then it just got worse and worse, didn't it?
Yeah, so doctors didn't know what it was, so it took 2.5 years to get a diagnosis, which is functional neurological disorder. I've since acquired a few other disabilities which have come because of having this initial one, but there was some that they was talking about which could be reversed, some that couldn't be reversed, some that they were looking at which were terminal. It wasn't a lot of those things, and eventually it came out as functional neurological disorder.
Sure. I mean, I'd surprisingly spent a lot of time thinking about this after I met you, because it's one of those things that can be very scary. Like, what's functional neurological disorder? Like, do you think it's something that they recognize the pattern of what's happened to you, but they actually don't know what the cause is? If that makes sense.
Yeah, so the cause for a lot of people could be like like a lot of stress or things like that, which unroots the brain. But a lot of people describe it as a software problem instead of a hardware problem. So physically, when they do brain scans, etc., my brain physically looks like a brain should. They could do tests on my leg, and my leg, there's no broken bones there. There's no ligament damage, muscle damage. So physically, it's there. But when the signal leaves my brain, it goes to my leg, and my leg goes, it's not there, and it just goes back to the brain. So my brain thinks there's no leg there. But I kind of have looked at it a lot more recently as almost like, your Wi-Fi router.
Yeah.
So I know like a lot of people describe it as software, and it's not a massive difference. But when you get like low bandwidth,
Yeah.
when there's low bandwidth, that's when things start going wrong with me. So I try to keep myself well fueled. I try to keep myself well rested. Lots of peace in my life as much as I can. But at the same time, I don't want to just sit around doing nothing. I want to
Yeah.
be making as much difference as I can, because I don't know how long I can continue to make a difference for. It could be a week's time and I might physically not be able to do it. So I've got to make the most of each day I've got where I can do it.
Yeah. And I think, like, I would like to say, I think your attitude has been incredible. Like, you won't see it necessarily. You might in the back of your mind, but it's hard for you to put yourself in my shoes and see, like, I often look at you and I'm like, honestly, I don't know what I would do if I was in your position. Like, the fact that you're still, I mean, you're on LinkedIn all the time. You still you're still, you did the Manchester Marathon this last weekend and you got helped around there, but like, you're still living as much as you can. And I know that you might be frustrated because you're like, oh, I could be doing more, because I know we've had a couple of chats, but you're doing far more than I think a lot of other people would be in your same situation. And there's a few things I want to maybe tie in here, is like the resilience that you've got, because I know the more and more I look into Identity Human, it's genuinely, it's what am I doing? It's like just trying to help people be more resilient. And with resilience, you don't recognize you have it when you're doing well. You only recognize you don't have it when things are getting really rough, and you've got no other perspective. And for you, it's almost like the ultimate test of your resilience is you've gotten this situation, and it didn't take you 5 years to start All for Inclusion. Like, it was very quick, where you like suddenly, not suddenly, you got into that situation. I remember us having a chat, and you were already doing it by then. And so there wasn't much like inaction. You were just constantly going. I think that was very respectable, because I always think if I was in that situation, I would have just waited ages. It would have I'd have been in a completely different situation. So I wanted to commend you, first of all, not that you need it, but I think that you are inspiring even able-bodied people, because for you, it's less, when I see how you're doing things, it's less physical and it's more mental. Like, the whole time I'm looking at the mental ability that you've got, and it far exceeds so many people. And it's a great perspective finder. And so I was really excited to have you on today, because yes, we can talk about All for Inclusion and the greater purpose that it has. And I think it's amazing trying to like bring to light something that does happen when you are not able, when you're on a wheelchair bound, and it's a lot harder to connect with people. There's loneliness there. And it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Some of the other things that I learned from you when we did our podcast was something as simple as a drop curve at a roadside. I'm not a rule breaker at all. I just didn't even know that that's what their purpose is for. And now I see them, I'm like, I get like angry on your guys' behalf, because I'm like, don't you know that they have to go another 50 meters down that way just to get back onto the road? And it's just little things like that that make a difference. But if you want to know more about that and you're listening, there's plenty of resources. Go and follow Scott and listen to everything that he does, because there are things that I haven't seen come up naturally, because people don't ask these questions, but we've had conversations. And I want to if you're comfortable enough going down there, what do people not see that you haven't found place to talk about in All for Inclusion, because that's purpose driven, that's forward, that happens in the background, that really brings to light that what they see in socials and with Scott is the outcome, but what they don't see is the struggle. And the struggle can be in many forms, whether it's relationships, physical, personal, social, any of that. Like, what comes to mind for you, that like the struggle that you think like in order for me to be set here, there's 100 things I've done just to be here?
There's probably lots of things, like getting up each day can just be a struggle. But this past year, I've 6 months, 5 months, um, I've been, I've had a lot of my mobility taken away with my wheelchair, and that means that I'm in a bed basically 24/7, apart from having a shower. Um, so that has really brought a completely new level of what's happening, what's not. So I've got a nice window here, and I live in a block of flats, but I need to I need to go toilet from my bed. Um, so I had probably 2 months where I couldn't even have the blinds open. Um, and I think when you're really, really kind of down and things get on top of you, it's easy just to go with it and just to hide. And what kind of got me through that period probably the best was knowing that this situation, is temporary, it's not permanent. So what do I need to put in place to be able to improve this part of my life? Now, actually, I thought I would be mobile and out and about a lot more now, but I'm still not. But what I have now got is a profiling hospital bed, one that moves up and down. So that allows me not to be sitting in the same place every day. I've got two over the desk beds that come in from both sides. So one is more personal stuff, food, drink, things to help me. But the other is a bit bigger, and it's set up for being able to do things, to be able to work. It's got a microphone clamped on it, so it makes it easy for speaking to the likes of yourself. And I keep this one very, very clear, very professional, and that's helped me do more things as well. But also the profile in bed, with it being smaller, it means that I can I can face away from the window. So if I need to use a urine pot, I can do so without knowing my neighbours are going to be staring at me. So it allows me to have my window blinds up. It allows me to have my window open. I think there's always a lot of different things that just go and are unseen, and probably it wouldn't even come to me to mention it, because I try to share the rough and the smooth. But
Well,
there's.
I mean, on that, we had a conversation very casual like 3 months ago. I can't remember when it was, and it's something that you never would have thought about, but as in from the outside and yourself, is you've got kids, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a wife.
Oh, no, no, no. So my kids and my ex-partner, Steph, their mum, they
Yeah,
live in Falmouth.
yeah.
So they live away from me.
Okay.
Um,
So if you don't
yeah,
mind, I
I've
mean,
got
we
the
can
kids.
always edit this out. But the
No, no,
conversation that
no.
we had, for me, it was one of the biggest slaps in my face, because it's one of those changes that you wouldn't even think about. But I know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you said to them to move out
Yeah.
because of how your perceived inability to be the man that you want to be, and be the partner and be the father, and how that was affecting you.
I think, yeah, it's close, but not quite there.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things I'll talk about sometimes is disability guilt. And I don't feel guilty because I'm disabled. I don't feel I'm any less than anyone else because I'm disabled. Um, my my youngest daughter Isabel, she absolutely used to love collecting conkers, and not far from our house was NHS car park, which had a lovely conker tree just outside of it. So I used to take her down and fill up the rucksack with conkers, and she would then be so happy she's got loads of conkers. And then I would go with Chloe, my middle child, to go and watch Sale, and Isabel would be happy when because she's got the conkers. Um, but because like one of the things I have is a skin condition, and it wasn't really well known at the time. They were still trying to figure out what it was, and I had marks all over my face, my arms, my legs, etc. And I can remember going down with Isabel, and there was two or three couples, all older than me, say 50 plus, that were walking up. They were looking at me, sort of shaking their heads, and I don't know, like it felt like, I guess, like, what's this person doing out? What's this person doing in charge of a child? So when we was in the car park, Isabel said to me she doesn't want to come and collect conkers anymore. And she didn't want to come and collect conkers because she actually heard what they were saying. And at the time, she was 4.
Yeah.
Now, that was really, really hard. And when I used to want to take her to like a soft play centre, her and Chloe would sort of come into my room and they would go, right, we'll go on Saturday. So they would be looking forward to it. And then I would get up and Steph would sort of say, I don't think you can do it. I'm like, I can do it, I can do it. And then they would come in and then I would kind of get to the point and their bottom lip would come out, their eyes would kind of water and they'd be like, it's okay, Dad, it's okay, you rest. And then I would go in my bed and, Isabel might come in and read me stories. When I'm asleep or having seizures, she's got a wet flannel keeping me cool and with a fan and things like that. And that's not a nice place to be. That's not great. But I think I think when we decided to make the kind of split, it was I decided it more for me. Now I'm going to say for selfish reasons, and I think they are fairly selfish, but there will be some unselfishness in there as well. But living in a house with children, my life's changing, as their life's changing, it's not a quiet place. All of that. So the noise, like I said, I need this sort of level of peace now. All this noise is setting me off to have more and more seizures. It's making my speech worse, and it was leading me to a place where my mental health wasn't great either. It was leading me to a place where I felt like there was no way out, and there was a way out, and the way out to for me to be able to live, first of all, my life and get my health in the best possible way was to be in a building that is just me in. I also didn't like the fact that my children were having to watch me have seizures and be in physical pain, maybe be crying through the night. That's not good for them. It's not good for their mental health, in my opinion. Now, there's going to be people that are going to be listening to this who are going to go, yeah, but not having their dad in the house will be not great for their mental health too, and I get that. But it was just a choice the decision I made, and I felt it was the right decision. I still feel it was the right decision, but was it the perfect decision? No, definitely not.
I don't think there would have been a perfect decision there.
No, no, they probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
There probably it wasn't a right outcome, a perfect outcome.
yeah.
So you got to weigh it up and decide what you think's
I
best.
suppose the next question is, how are you finding that now that you are on your own? Does it give you the, like, I always think if humans at their core are here to survive, regardless. So like if you think like animal instinct is like you're going to protect yourself, you're going to make sure that you're in a good place, and that's the kind of environment that you, I suppose, have now. Do you think that that allows you the ability to probably not prolong or heal or improve, or do you still sometimes sit there and go like, I yeah, don't know if this is right.
Yeah, my situation, my environment, I'm sure will be better by the end of the year. My situation and environment is worse now than what it was 6 months ago, because my electric wheelchair was taken away from me because of my vision. So that means I'm less mobile. I'm less out when I need to be. So that can improve. But yeah, I still think I think it has made a positive improvement on my health. Um, I because there's that piece, and it's also that internal pressure of having to be present.
Yeah,
I'm present now when I want to and I need to be. So if I need to be present for a long period, let's say on Wednesday, what I might do is I might sleep all of Monday and Tuesday so I can be present on that Wednesday, and I can really try my best to plan things around it. Now, one thing that kind of caught me majorly yesterday, I don't know if you can see it, I got a bit of a glow to my forehead.
I just presumed that was the marathon.
Yeah, and it was a marathon, and just an idiot, just didn't put sun cream on. It was there to put on, and I just didn't put it on. And that started to peel yesterday, and it started to really sting. Now, not being able to move out of my bed, I know the solution, what I could have done to help this. I knew if I went and I put cold water on my head, it would help. I knew if I put something like a Vaseline or a moisturizer on my head, it would help. I just couldn't get to it. I just couldn't get to it. So I spent about an hour and a half with a really, really sore forehead. But what that then does is it sets everywhere else of my body off. So my leg was going into spasm a lot, my back as well, because my brain is now, like I said, the bandwidth on the internet is like my brain is kind of dealing with this. So it's got less energy to deal with, keep the other functions in place. So they're all going off and getting worse and worse and worse. So whilst I was really pleased when my carers came to help me with my forehead, as soon as they helped with my forehead, the rest of my symptoms kind of go and ease as well. So I'm in that place now where I'm controlling my condition into what
Yeah.
I would say is maybe as good as it can get. There's still pain every day. There's still lots of things I can't do. I know I'm going to have seizures at least weekly, but I'm not putting myself into loads of dangerous situations unless I do something stupid like get really bad sunburn on my head and then
Yeah,
don't have the right stuff around me to be able to fix it when I need it.
yeah. It's a lesson, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
um,
definitely.
how have you found that like obviously a massive shift for you is identity. It's like you had the mass. Like I know that you told me you ran your like sub 4 hour marathon when I was running mine, and that you obviously you had things going for you. How have you found the identity shift, and how long did it take you to, or like I know you use the word acceptance, like accept, or are you still on that journey?
Definitely still on the journey, 100%. But um, like I was speaking to someone the other day, and I've got problems with my both shoulders and Achilles, and I don't think that I think they both need surgery, but I don't think I could rehab from the surgery. And it's almost like my shoulder's almost like a bit of an impinged nerve in the socket, and there's some other problems there. And I said to them, like, if I could swap my shoulder with someone, I would. And they've got a disability as well, very similar to mine. And they said, "Well, what about the rest?" And I said, "No, I can cope with that. I can cope with not walking. I've not walked for 5 years. If I was told to clear out my house, my gran would say, if you've not used something for 5 years, you don't need it.
Yeah.
So, like, I've not used my legs for 5 years in the walking sense,
Yeah.
so I no longer need them. And actually, like, I think I'm fairly good at telling stories. I'm a pretty good storyteller, and would I be telling the right stories if I wasn't? If my disability went, would I continue telling the right stories that were going to make a difference? I don't know. Would I continue putting myself in the situations that I want to be in now? I don't know. I can't answer it because I'm not in that place. So I think I've developed as a person, as a human,
Yeah.
since becoming disabled. It's made me. I always thought I was accepting of everyone, and I still do think that I was. But there's a huge difference between waiting for things to fall in your lap and actually going, I don't know enough about this, and it's something that's really important to society. So actually, I'm going to go and learn it, or I don't need to understand it all, but I just want an understanding of how it makes certain people feel.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, you keep mentioning that, like, say, your situation will get better, or like there's almost like there's hope there. Is there hope? Or is that literally just age that
Nah,
you
I
have?
don't. When I say my situation will get better, this condition, it will be with me forever, as probably will my mental health. But, like, I think when I had my electric wheelchair, when I had my power wheelchair, it meant I could go around town and things like that, and I could do almost what I wanted to until the battery ran out. Then that got removed, and my eyesight is not as good, so I'm not allowed to move myself around in my wheelchair. My chronic fatigue won't allow me to do it, and my shoulder won't allow me to do it. So I'm pretty much stuck, and I have carers that come in and help me with certain things like showering, getting changed. Now, one of the packages that is being looked at is a package where the carers will be with me for longer. They'll potentially do different things, but part of that will be getting me out in the community. Now, that's huge.
Yeah.
So at the minute, if I want to go to get a new book, I need to order it online. But I when I go into a bookshop, I end up going in thinking I might get one book, and I come out with 10 because
You don't know
I
when you're
just
going to go
picked
back.
up so many because I just love them. I start reading the back and go, yeah. And that's been taken away. That choice has been taken away. So having someone to be able to push me around gives me that choice, gives me that bit of independence back. So when I say, like, things can be better, that is something that is better than now.
Yeah.
And there will be other things that will be better than now as well. So um, that would also then allow me to maybe go to a lot of different places, meeting new people, and it doesn't mean that this person needs to be attached to me. They could take me to the bookshop, and I could say, right, I'm going to be here drinking this hot chocolate for an hour now. If you want to go off and do something and come back in an hour, you can. They
Yeah.
don't have to be attached to me, or they could sit on a separate table. But at the same time, they could sit with me, and that's cool too. So there's lots of different ways that I think anyone can improve life. Also, at the minute, I have carers that come early in the morning and late at night. And I would love to let them come later in the morning and earlier at night because I can get better quality sleep.
Yeah.
So my sleep is impaired because of the times that my carers come. So like sometimes they can come past midnight and then get me up, just before 7, and I'm not getting the quality of sleep
That
that
you
I
need.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not you want, you need one, but
Well, yeah, exactly. And it then means I have to sleep during the day more, and then sleeping during the day then takes away the ability to do what I should be doing
yeah.
at that time.
Yeah. So a bit more, if we shift focus to like outwards, so like people are listening to this now, and there's obviously so much they can learn from you: perspective changing, challenges in life, purpose. Like what are some, let's get some like wisdom from Scott. Like what's some wisdom that you can have? Because we've got listeners that they don't have like disabilities necessarily, they just got the average, not average because everything's relative, right? They've just got their own issues, their own challenges, and sometimes it's with self, and sometimes it's with a job, and sometimes it's with family. How can they learn some wisdom from you that's gonna they can take, because you say we're all equal, you just have your challenges, and from a mental side, like have you got any insight to help someone that's just struggling with life and how
I
they
think
can tap into what you've got?
I think first thing is to stop comparing with other people. It's that's not an original thing that I'm saying. The only person you should compare yourself with is yourself yesterday. That's a saying. Anyway, but I think what can cause people problems mentally, and I felt this before, is they look at someone else's life and they can either go, oh, this person seems to be living the dream, but they're not. Deep down they're not. They're just showing that they're living the dream.
Yeah.
Or they can say, well, I'm listening to Scott now and look at all Scott's difficulties, and all I've got is this. There's no all of I've got is this. You've still got a struggle. You've still got some difficulties. Don't it's not a case of who's got the most difficulties should feel the worst or anything like that. If you've got a difficulty, you've got a difficulty. Don't compare your difficulties to someone else's, because that's not a good place for you as an individual.
Yeah.
It's still a struggle, and recognize that. You're allowed to kind of have struggles and recognize it, because it's just as valid as mine or the next person's down the road. So kind of just take that. And I think, if we look at like all these mental health charities and things, a lot of them will go, you got to talk, you got to talk, you got to talk. Talking is hard, man.
Yeah.
Talking is hard. When I, it's almost like if you're going out for a few drinks with a mate, and you don't want to go toilet once, because once you go, you're going to be going every drink. That first, once you open up,
Yeah.
it's easy, but to actually open up the first time is so hard. You hold on and you think, oh, I can do it myself, but there's other ways to do things. You can text people, and then when people think that someone's struggling, they'll want to talk. But for me, I don't want anyone to talk to me about like some of these things, because if I'm still figuring it out in my head, it needs to be in my head.
Yeah.
But so I don't want to talk, but you can come in and read a book in the same room as me, and that will help me, because I know I'm not alone then. Um, follow people and have your circle of people to be who you want to be. if there's someone always bringing you down, and they're always bringing you down, it's not that they're going through having a tough week or a tough month or whatever, but if they're always bringing you down, what are they adding to you? And actually, are they a part of the reason that you're struggling? Because if you're around positive people, it's more likely you're going to feel positive thoughts.
Yeah.
So really kind of have a look and think, right, what can I do? What is causing me these difficulties? And if something is, think, can I do without this in my life? Whether it's an object, whether it's a thing, whether it's noise, whether it's a person. If you're going through a tough period, you need to to look around and think, right, what do I need to change to get me through this? One of my big things was making room for reading. Reading really, really helped.
So, I mean, I just wanted to bring back to something that you said, interesting, where you're like, don't look at me and think that you don't have any problems because it's all relative. I was like, that's exactly what I do. Not that I look at you, I look at, like, say, I'm like, I'm glad I don't live in Africa starving for the next bit of food. And so I go, I don't actually have problems, which is, it's a good way of finding perspective sometimes, but actually not if you're taking away from the fact that your challenge is a challenge. Because I think there's a subtle difference, isn't there?
Yeah, so like there's a couple of homeless people that I speak with, and they, I think that their struggles are really tough. They tell me stories of when they're sleeping in bins to stay dry, and then they ask how I've been. So I say, oh, I had a seizure. It was a tough one. Like, here's the photos. This is my eye, and they're like, oh, I'm you know I'm pleased I don't have to kind of go through what you're going through.
Yeah.
And they're almost looking at me as if I'm in a worse situation than they are,
Yeah.
and I'm there thinking they're in a worse situation than I am, and actually we're both just going through a different struggle and a different battle, and that can be, you know it doesn't even have to be that extreme. If someone's got a struggle, if someone's feeling a certain way, it's valid.
Yeah.
And I think if you face it, if you kind of accept that your struggle is valid, it will help. And then, what can you do about it? Because there's always something you can do. And there might be 10 things you can do with your situation, and they're all not great, but you still got a choice of which of those 10 things
Yeah.
you do. And then you think, right, well, if I stop this or if I start doing this, the outcome in a month's time or 6 weeks' time will be X. Then you can then reassess and go, right, what can I do now? What can I change now? And sometimes, it's a long journey, it's a long battle to until one of the choices is a decent choice. But there's also some things you can't control. So I can't control the weather. Now, I hate hot weather. That is something that really, really triggers me.
Yeah.
So I've already got a fan next to me, sort of. That was on all last night.
Can you reach
Oh,
it?
pardon?
Can you reach it?
Oh, I've got, I've got a remote for it.
Okay.
But yeah, but it was on all last night, and I needed it. But if I've got a fan on all the time, that's then going to make me financially worse off because that's electric being used.
Yeah.
So what's more important? Is it more important to spend more on my electric, or is it more important to keep my health balanced? And those are those choices that there's not a perfect outcome
It's a
to.
horrible choice, isn't it? We live in a world where you have to sacrifice your ideal health because of money.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who
Yeah.
are doing it. Like my bed's an electric bed. I don't use it, but I should do. I should have like an oxygen mask on when I'm sleeping at night. You know, and if I feel like I really really need it, I'll go back to using it. But all of these things that then cost more and more money, and then you've got food going up in price. But what gets me and what frustrates me is it goes up in price, but the actual food shrinks as well.
It's more and
So
more gourmet, doesn't it? Supposed to taste
yeah,
better.
you're getting more and more people going to using food banks now than ever before. And when you're in these situations, you kind of then hear, right, what's the next thing that the government will look at doing? We're gonna we're gonna have a look at benefits for disabled people who are already struggling because they need a fan on at night, they've got an electric bed, they've got to charge their wheelchair, they've got the cost of keeping medicine at certain temperatures, having to get taxis places, and Scope, who's one of the big sort of disabled charities, they reckon it's just over £1,000 more per household as the cost of living per month if there's someone with a disability in it.
Oh,
But also, people with disabilities struggle to get jobs because they either cannot work or the employers choose the person without the disability
yeah.
in a lot of cases.
And it's not an easy. That's another hard situation. Hard and hard.
Mm. Yeah, it makes it tough, and you know, I guess what what can we do about that? We can write to people like our MPs,
You
but
could be like Andy Dufresne and just write a letter every single week until you get what you want from Shawshank Redemption.
yeah,
Have you seen
yeah,
that? He writes.
I,
He
I
wants to
have,
get books to
yeah.
the prisoners.
I saw it. I only saw it for the first time this year, believe it or not. I got loads of films that are absolute
Yeah.
classics that I've not watched,
So,
but
so that sorry, that I'm going to cut you off there. Have you like ever done a deep dive into your own like condition, thinking you're going to find the miracle way to like discover what the cause was, or have you
no.
always just left it up to doctors?
Um, I kind of, when I was undiagnosed, I was doing some sort of deep diving and kind of looking to go, right, what is the condition?
Yeah,
I haven't done anything as to what's caused it, and I put probably a lot less effort than what people think into trying to get better. A lot of people will say, "Well, why don't you try to do this, this, and this to if you lose a bit of weight, if you do this, if you do that." But I've only got so much energy.
yeah,
I've only got, and what do I want to focus on? Well, if you said to me 6 weeks to 6 months to maybe 18 months into my condition, would you do anything you could to 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 go back to how you were before? I'd have said yeah, and I'd have sacrificed anything. Now, no, I'm comfortable with being who I am.
yeah,
I've got a life changing condition, but it's life impacting. But it's not. It shouldn't affect my lifespan.
yeah.
So I've just got a different life to what I used to have. I can't reach things on high shelves.
You get
But I
people do
was,
that for you now.
yeah, I'm 5'6". I'd struggle anyway.
Eh? uh, very good, Scott. I mean, Scott, I'm going to probably bring it to a close there. Thank you so much for coming on. I think there's so much for people to take away from this. And I would recommend, if you are listening to this, like, go and follow Scott and just see his journey, because I think you're an inspirational individual that's going through challenges that most people don't see the light of, because I think other people do, but they don't necessarily talk about it. Um, and I think it's inspiring. And I appreciate you being on here and sharing your story and being vulnerable, and the bit of wisdom that you gave.
No worries. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Right. So we'll sign off the same way we do every week. So remember, I'm wearing an Ubuntu shirt today. So I'll work on me for you if you work on you for me. We are throughout this. Cheers.
Cheers.